So if you don't have this already, it's up on the site. Process Lab, you can download it right here, and it will show up like this. I promise, I put it there. So remember that whole story we talked about earlier? Class layouts? This is what it all culminates down to. So what we're going to create is basically a generic model that can be stretched and flexed instantly in the project to create a grid of classroom seats. All right, we're going to go through this really quick. I'm going to suggest that if you have questions about what we're doing in the lab, jot them down and bring them up in the next, not Q&A session, but Thursday session, so that we can go through this pretty quickly. All right, so first thing we want to do is we want to start a new family. We're going to use the generic model template. Okay, everyone should know what the generic model template is at this point. So we're going to go new, family. And when we're doing families, it's good to start off with a project in the background because we're going to have to load it in there anyways, right? So generic model, open. And once this opens, we're going to immediately load or nest a new family into it. We're going to use the chair tablet arm. And I'm just going to bring up, I'm not going to need any of these elevation views, so I'm going to go ahead and close them. I'm going to go ahead and go components. It's going to say, hey, there's nothing there. Do you want to load something in? I'm going to say yes. Furniture, chair, tablet, arm. There we go. That's what we're loading in. Looks like a classroom desk, right? Okay. We're going to drop that sucker right in the middle. And we're going to align and lock, right? All the center reference planes, like so. All right? So we've aligned, locked, placed the component, we aligned, locked, and we use the center reference planes for each. We know there were center reference planes. Well, we don't. We probably should have checked, but we're assuming the ones in the middle of the family are the center reference planes. Okay. So what we want to do now is we want to array. We're going to use that tool that we learned today. We're going to move it to the second. We're going to move it a distance of 6 inches. We're going to have 2 arrays. We're going to be sure that we use move to second. All right. So let's do all that real quick. I'm going to take this. I'm going to array it to the second. I want to make sure it's grouped and associated. I think that's actually left out. You want to make sure that it is grouped and associated so that we can make it parametric. If you want a parametric, this should actually be, do you want this array parametric? It should actually say that right there. That would be easier. So we're going to go from the reference plane, not a point on the chair. We're going to leave it at 2, and there's our first array. Congratulations. So now we're going to add a parameter to the array, and we're going to call it column number. We're going to put it under construction for the group, and it's going to be a type parameter. So here we go. Remember to assign a parameter to the array, we select the line, the array line, and then we do a label. I'm going to call it column number just because I don't like using symbols in my parameters. We're going to put it under construction and leave it as type. There we go. Right. So now we can see that we can drag this around, right? And we can control the array for types. We have a parameter now. There we go. So I'm going to change this back to 2 for simplicity's sake. I keep going to that. I'm just going to close that. All right. Let's close that too. Because I don't need that. Oh, except I did need that. Oh, rats. Get this back down. There we go. Okay. So we flex the array, set it to 2. Now we're going to select both chairs in the array, All right. We're going to array those. Notice that what we're arraying is the first one and the last one. Okay. If you have multiple ones, you want to be sure you select all of them. And we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to array this down, and we're going to set it at 4 feet. Leave it at 2 for now. And we're going to set a parameter to this called row number construction. Leave it as type. Okay. So we did this entire page, 4 feet. And this should say row number, not column number, construction type. Right? And then you want to take a look at this information if you're having problems right here. Okay. If what I'm saying, what you're doing is not making sense, then you want to just read this part right here. All right, so now you've got your arrays. We want to be able to take this family once we load it in, because we're obviously going to load it in eventually, right? And we want to be able to offset it from a set of walls. So the first thing we're going to do is we want our offset to be 4 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and set these reference planes that I just made to 4 feet from the center of our first chair there. And we're going to dimension those reference planes, just these two. And we can select both of those and label them at the same time. Shortcut there. And we can set that to instance, because if you have different classrooms, you might want a different offset depending on the classroom configuration. We can see that that's set up. Normally we would be flexing here because we just added something, right? I'm going to go ahead and dimension our length and our width. Make sure we're still on topic here. Yep, offset. There we go. Length, width. So I'm going to go ahead and make this W dimensions type. Oh, I think I just messed up. Dimensions instance. That needs to be an instance parameter. How do you change it quickly? Select the dimension instance parameter. There you go. All right, so we need those both to be instance parameters, and it's key. You'll see why in a second. It's key that that is an instance parameter. All right. Why is that important? Well, let's go ahead and load this in. To our project. We'll place it. Oh, grips everywhere. Notice that I can move the array away from. I'm going to just throw some dimensions in here. Everyone should know what I'm doing here. These are the reference planes that I made, right? Everyone see how that's working? Right? So you can see that I can control how far. Now I've got these other grips. What are those? Right? These are the length and width dimensions that I made. Right? See how when I make them instance, I get these grips? That's what's key here. Okay. When you make it an instance parameter, you're going to get grips in the project to be able to control all that information. Okay, so let's go back in here. You got grips. Now we're going to start setting up formulas, right, for our array numbers. First one we're going to use is row number, which is going to be the width minus the offset divided by 5. I'm not going to explain the math. Hopefully that makes sense. So we've got W minus offset divided by 5 feet. I'm pausing here because there's something that just happened that hopefully somebody is saying, hopefully all of you are saying, oh, that's not good. L minus offset. See if anybody says it in the questions, right? Or unmute yourself. When I hit apply, why is it not going to work? No takers. There's a couple reasons. Look at this. The first one is that we've got an instance parameter, right? Which one's the instance parameter? Well, all three of these are. Okay. Cannot use an instance parameter inside of a type parameter. Why not? Because